Woods 5, you guys had been working on that before you went away, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was it actually at one point I had read that it was like recorded and in the can, but you're saying that you're planning to go back and do some rewrites and re-recording?
Here's how the confusion came down with that was when because we've even seen a few things kind of go online where someone took part of a story from last summer before Earache, and then took some of what Earache was doing and kind of put them together, and how this kind of or for example, even on our Wikipedia page, I find it funny, and I'm kind of careful even what I post personally on my own Facebook, because it's like I once mentioned something about we consider the possibility of just maybe releasing what we did as Woods 5 is just like on iTunes only.
Right.
Just for the reason that we've been doing this independent CD business for years, and I mean I'll tell anybody flat out that we've seen a decline in CD sales in numbers every single record we did, and even for Woods 4, I mean we thought that was the best record we did. It was the most expensive record for us to do, and it was the hardest ever to sell any copies of it. Everybody was acquiring it and listening to it, and we could see that. But from my point of view, it's like we weren't selling any discs,
Right.
And so then I just kind of decided that I posted one day just to kind of get people's opinions about what would you think if we just put the CD out just on iTunes. So it's like most people just with their iTunes and their iPods anyway. It's like we have some people who write to us and say, I hope you never stop doing CDs because I love CDs. And some people write to us and say, why do you still do CDs? Because I just buy a CD and then it's like it goes in a box. Like I just want the music, just the file. And so I wrote that one day, and you got both kinds of people writing in, but then someone goes on our Wikipedia page and says, Dave Gold said that the new CD is going to be like download only or something.
Right.
So what we did last summer, we went on our own before Earache got involved or anything. We had 5 songs that we were working on before the tour, and then we toured, and then knowing I was going to go to Kuwait we didn't even know how long. It might have been, minimum a year or possibly even like 2 years. And we were considering, if the band kind of didn't get to a certain level that we could sustain it, just practically, you just have no choice at all. But as much as it would hurt us to do it or disappoint, us and anybody else who's interested in what we're doing, at some point, unless it catches fire and you can get to that next level, like you have no choice but to put it on the back burner,
right.
and you have to focus on work and practical things everybody else has to deal with, right? So we wanted to do a recording before I left because we didn't know when I was going to come back, and so we had these 5 really brutal songs, and we were in this brutal kind of heavy mood, and we had that kind of energy coming off a tour. We went in and recorded them, and then we signed the deal with Earache, and then it's very simply that Earache doesn't really deal in EPs like that, and like Woods 4 was such a big album, it's 16 tracks and it's like almost 80 minutes, and then it was just I think difficult to sell that, and then the follow-up to that huge record is like a 5-song EP.
Right.
So anyway, I think they were trying to find a way to like how does Earache kind of introduce this band to the world, and meanwhile we had Woods 4, which sounds like it does, and the Woods 5 that we recorded, sounds, if you're familiar with Woods 4, like it sounds like song 8 and song 9, like Suicide Cargo Load and Halves and Quarters.
Right.
Like it's us doing like a really heavy sludge version of Woods of Ypres, with some pop elements and stuff in it. And so we have that record, and we just don't know at this point what's going to become of it. We discussed something like, well, you have 5 songs, could you guys come back and could you add, a few more songs? And that's, I think that just goes against what the band's writing process is about. Like if we go into a recording session, those songs belong together, but if we were to write, 3 more songs half a year later, it's different, and there's no continuity. So we decided that the simplest thing for us to do was, okay, well, that album is in the can. It'll come out, in some form eventually, but it is a different beast now. Where when we were an independent band, we would just, here's a song we want to write. We wrote it, we recorded it, we put it out immediately, and that's the way that we did things. And I mean, that was us just following our own artistic instinct. And I mean, it's fair to say that now is a bigger thing with Earache, and I mean, they want what's best for them and best for us ultimately too. And the best thing we can come up with is, okay, well, you guys are going to put out Woods 4, the Green album first. That's what the wider audience is going to hear, and then we want a follow up to Woods 4. And to us, it's like we almost made that Woods 5 record as if Woods 4 was a failure. Right. So like, because to us, it's like we put it out, we thought it was great, and then even like not a lot of the reviews were even that great. And then, we did a really big marketing campaign on our own and spent a bunch of money doing it, and we got almost no response back at all. And so then it was like, well, screw it then. We're going to continue to write whatever we want to write, and that ends up being that EP we did last year. And but I mean, I understand it's almost like if you're a Woods of Ypres listener, you'd easily see the parallels between Woods 4 and what we did last summer. But I think if you're like a new listener and you hear something like something off of Woods 4, and then you hear what we did on that EP, and you're like, is this the same band? So now the focus is Woods 4 comes out this March, and then with that in mind, and with the larger world kind of listening to that, now we're focused on doing this new record that'll come out later this year.
And that's probably a better way to go about it for you guys too, because now when you're going in to write and record, you're not thinking of the album as a failure any longer.
Yeah, and again, it's really interesting. Like it is really interesting right now because I mean I've been doing like a lot of press lately, and there's people who that's the first time that they've been in metal journalism for 10, 15 years, and the first time they ever heard of Woods of Ypres was maybe like last week, and now they've just been spinning Woods 4 and they're curious about those early records. But that's something that Earache has done for us that obviously we couldn't do on our own. Me with my DIY spirit, I realized that at a certain point it really can only take you so far. And I mean, for young bands, it's like, you can do so much on your own, but I think, we feel justified in, finally signing to a label because we did see the evidence where we came to a point where we couldn't do any more on our own. We overextended ourselves because we came to a place where, we're continuing to want to grow, and we couldn't grow